can be called a tribal philosophy, we have to extract philosophical points from these legends, from these folk tales, from the practices, from the folklores, and document them. That is how a body of knowledge, to my belief, will come up that can well become a tribal philosophy. Let me give you a few examples. Here, हम लोग के यहाँ लोक कथाएं हैं. ऑस्ट्रेशिया कम्युनिटी में
बुटे कमिटी रे लोक कथा में ना अच्छी अबू अब्राहमी लोक कथा रे बुसे ना रे तो अब्राहमिक ट्रेडिशन.
तो Adam comes first, and when he feels lonely, Eve comes next. So you will always have problem with gender equality. Here in the Austroasiatic community, man and woman are born from two eggs, and they will be born simultaneously. So you will always find gender equality there. I mean, you will not find gender inequality. This is how we philosophize. Let us say with regard to land relations. जब आप अब्राहमिक रिलीजन में देखते हैं तो आदमी एडम का क्रिएट होने के बाद, when after creation of Adam, Yahweh puts the entire world at his feet and says that you are the master. So he is the master. वो master हो गए. एक्सप्लॉयटेशन या नेचर के ऊपर विजय पाना उसका एक फिलॉसफी का पार्ट बनता है. लेकिन ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी में देखते हैं तो मैन इज नॉट द मास्टर. जब सिंगबोंगा क्रिएट करते हैं पूरा दुनिया को, उसके बाद आदमी को भी क्रिएट करते हैं और कहते हैं कि तुम नेचर का पार्ट हो, तुम नेचर का मालिक नहीं हो, नेचर का पार्ट हो, लेकिन तुम्हारे पास रीजन है तो तुम नेचर का बड़ा भाई हो. नेचर का संरक्षण करना उतना ही यूज करना जितना तुम्हारा जरूरत है, और जो जिस रूप में तुमको मिलेगा नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को उसी रूप में देना होगा. तो ही इज नॉट द ऑनरशिप का फिलॉसफी नहीं आता है. तो जो एमिनेंट डोमेन ऑफ द स्टेट का जो फिलॉसफी है, जिसके तहत द क्वीन इज द ऑनर ऑफ द लैंड, और ट्राइबल फिलॉसफी में नहीं आ सकता. दैट इज ए पार्ट ऑफ द अब्राहमिक फिलॉसफी, बिकॉज मैन इज द ऑनर देयर. यहाँ पे मैन इज द पार्ट ऑफ द नेचर. एमिनेंट डोमेन ऑफ द स्टेट का फिलॉसफी कम से कम छोटा नागपुर या सेंट्रल इंडिया में फिट नहीं खा सकता, उसके रिलेटेड लॉ नहीं बन सकता. उसी तरह से किंगशिप, किंग इज द ओनर ऑफ द लैंड. किंगशिप का फिलॉसफी नहीं आ सकता. डेमोक्रेसी का फिलॉसफी नेचुरली आएगा, इसलिए कि people are part of the nature and they do not own the nature. They are participating in the nature. So one of them becomes the caretaker. Democracy natural है. उसी तरह से दिसंबर महीने में धरती का पूजा किया जाता है. अब शिमले का तरफ जाएंगे या फिर जमशेदपुर में जाएंगे तो धरती का पूजा किया जाता है रियल में. उस एक हफ्ते के दौरान आपको धरती पर हल नहीं चलाना है, थूकना नहीं, इस टाइप का बहुत सारा प्रैक्टिसेस है. तो वंदे मातरम का जो फिलॉसफी है उसका अगर रूट में जाना है तो आपको ट्राइबल फिलॉसफी में जाना है. तो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज दैट we have to extract philosophical tenets from the practices that are available in the tribal community, from the legends that are available in the tribal community. तो अगले 3 दिन में हम लोग कॉस्मोलॉजी पे बात करेंगे, गॉड वर्सेस सोल,
बुरुरिया बोल-
गॉड एंड सोल, उनका नेचर क्या है,
को
गॉड का
आप
नेचर
चिल
क्या
क्या
है,
बोंगारे?
सोल का नेचर क्या है।
नेचर
सोल
क्या
का
हुआ?
अगर वैदिक फिलोसफी में
वैदिक
जाएंगे तो 5
फिलोसफी
कोसा
तो
होते हैं,
5
यहाँ पे
कोसा हुआ।
आएंगे तो 5 लेयर्स होते हैं।
5 लेयर में रहता है,
इसलिए
बुझे
जब हम
होता है। इनका अबू
रात को सो जाते हैं
हाँ,
और
जितना
सोल
बोलते
का
हैं
रोआ
तो-
बाहर जाती है तो फिर भी हम लोग
अबुआ-
जिंदा रहते
रोआ
हैं, इसलिए कि
बाहर
बाकी
से
2
जमा
लेयर
होता है।
हमारे अंदर में रहता
भीतर
है।
रहता है,
वो
ना
सबको
बढ़िया
बात करेंगे।
इना सब इन बुझा करे
एपिस्टेमोलॉजी के ऊपर भी बात करेंगे। हमारे पास
अबूतर है
वास्ट
Vast
हर्बल
है,
नॉलेज है,
हर्ब-
उसका बेस क्या हो सकता है,
एना उसे
व्हाट इज
बड़ी
द
बुझा
बेस
करे
ऑफ नॉलेज इन द ट्राइबल फिलोसफी।
एना चिमिन चिलका बा एना बुझा करे
उसके ऊपर उसके
चिंता
बाद
करे।
हो सकता है तो
इनके बाद-
मेटाफिजिक्स के
इन्हें
बारे में भी
metaphysics
बात
के
करेंगे
ऊपर
थोड़ा सा।
करेंगे।
एट द एंड ऑफ 3
इन्हें
days
तो- इन्हें
we will
आ-
try
आपे
to
दिन
see
में ना
whether
विचार है।
we will try to answer the question कि ट्राइबल फिलोसफी हो
question
सकता है
answer
क्या,
हुआ है,
ट्राइबल्स
tribal
में
is-
गॉड हो सकता है क्या।
कोई
So at the
मैंने
end of
बोंगा
3
बोलूँ
days
नहीं।
all of us, all the scholars will
इन्हें तो
decide
सभी
whether
को
there
decide
can
है।
be a body
इंतर
that can
सभी-
well become, that can well be termed tribal philosophy, which can become a part of the university and part of the academia. I welcome once again all the participants, and this was 3 days. I was थोड़ा सा बताना चाह रहे थे,
जो कल कहीं कजीतिया बनाई
और
अंडो
इसके साथ ही हम लोग शुरू करेंगे। हमारा प्रेजेंटर्स आएंगे, उनके पास सिंस वी आर रनिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ टाइम 8 मिनट दिया जाएगा, अपना
8 मिनट
चीजों को
को
प्रेजेंट करेंगे। 2
7
मिनट
पे-
के
7
लिए हम
सामान
लोग
को present
इंटरेक्शन करेंगे, फिर
इंटरेक्शन
द
है
नेक्स्ट
वो।
पार्टिसिपेंट विल
And the
कम।
person-
We have
participant
7
है।
participants in the first session, and the
आइए
first I
participant
would like
का-
to invite Miss Bijoya Somai. She is an author,
author
so we welcome Miss Somai.
विजया सोया author
Johar,
जोहार
Kublai, as we say in Meghalaya,
मेघालय
Kublai means God bless you.
God bless you.
So I greet you all with
So
Kublai.
bless you, Kublai.
I thank all
I
the
thank all
organizers
the-
of this great event,
Great
and I'm
event.
very happy to be here and see you all.
all.
My paper deals with Khasi philosophy. Khasi philosophy, which means I'll have to go back a little bit and talk about our beliefs and our religion. Kanyam Khasi. Kanyam Khasi believes in one God, Ublay, who is formless. हमारा जो भगवान है, निराकर है. Ublay is omnipotent, सर्व शक्तिमान है. Ublay is omnipresent, सर्व व्यापी है. और Ublay is omniscient, सर्व बज्ञा है. So we believe in this one God, and we believe in the philosophy that we come into this world to earn righteousness, to propagate righteousness. This is our main purpose in life. Our philosophy is based on that. Now you'll ask me about what about rituals? Rituals are also part of our philosophy. We have only 3 main pujas in our lives. That's naming, marriage, and the last rites. Otherwise, our way of life is our philosophy. And what is our way of life? हम लोग मानते हैं कि हमारा जो रोज रोज का पूजा है 3 चीज की प्रार्थना करते हैं. अच्छे काम, अच्छे सोच, अच्छे शब्द. Every good word, thought and deed of the day is an offering to Ublay, an offering unparalleled to any other. That is our philosophy. Now, where is our temple? Temple, every house is a temple, and every piece of the earth is prayer-worthy. This is our philosophy. Now, we also express our philosophy through songs, we express them through poetry, we express them through our dance, but the basic of our philosophy is to live a righteous life, whatever we do. So the only form of community worship is Shat Sukhman Sem, the dance of peaceful hearts. जब हम लोग we have our rice harvesting, we have our डांस है, हमारा नृत्य है। तो हम लोग क्या मानते हैं? The Khasis actually traditionally do not like to show their wealth. So that is one day when we get a chance to show how much we have gained by our hard work. So we dress from top to toe in silver and gold, and we worship something which shows you that whatever we gain in life is actually has to be sustained by truth. This was written long, long ago, thousands of years ago, and handed down orally to us. But in 1843, when the Welsh missionary gave us our Roman alphabet, a very great writer and poet wrote down these lines in Khasi, and I've translated it. This will show you the philosophy of the Khasis. They say, whatever you know, whatever you gain, is useless if not by truth sustained. Even if very rich you become, if no one respects you, what use is the pomp? Even if you are very grandly attired, it's useless, for it's only your shame camouflaged. So हम लोग क्या मानते कि जो भी हमारी जिंदगी जो हम लोग आए यहाँ पे सच्चाई के लिए, and to earn righteousness and to propagate righteousness. तो अगर धन भी मिलते, नाम भी मिलते, सब कुछ मिलते, लेकिन आपका इज्जत खत्म हो जाते, then it is no use. This is our philosophy. And he writes a very beautiful lines here. All artificial pomp and ostentation undermines truth and is the root of destruction. And I feel that ये बहुत relevant है आजकल, क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत दिखावत का ज़माना आ गया. लेकिन हमारा philosophy में it's against दिखावत, it's against ostentation, it's against show. So this is the Khasi philosophy of life, that we come into this world to earn righteousness, and we have the covenant with Ublay, Kajutang. We promise God that when we come into this world, we thank Him for His creation, that we will live a correct life, a life of values, a life of righteousness. And this time is very short, but I would like to just, there's a very beautiful, we have, as I said, every house is a temple and every part of the earth is prayer-worthy. We don't have a particular mandir or masjid or gurdwara or temple or church. But we say that everywhere we can pray. And we pray to this one God, just made nirakar hai, imageless hai, and who's everywhere. Ubrei unong tao nong bo, udan halor, udan chatpian. He is everywhere. And there's a song which we sing in Senkhasi, that's an organization of the indigenous faith people who have not turned to any other religion, which is very beautiful. And I feel that I should quote it. इसमें बोलते कि लड्डुक तेले शा लाशितम तेले बुरम कबतम हंग निहा परथे. Even if you are poor, even if you are suffering, how does it matter? Honor is of paramount importance in this world of ours, in this life of ours. इसका मतलब क्या है? अगर आप गरीब है, आप दुख में है, जो भी है, कोई बात नहीं. अगर आपका इज्जत ठीक है, if your reputation and your character is pure, that is your wealth. That is the Khasi philosophy of life. We have lost it along the way. कि आजकल बहुत मुश्किल है ये सब बात मानने के लिए, लेकिन this is what we believe. We believe in it. We believe in our way of life as a philosophy. Even etiquette is not social grace. Etiquette is a form of worship. The way we talk, the way we dress, the way we greet each other. It's not dikhane ke liye, kyunki it's socially important. It is a way of worship. So in this book, which was written in 1901, there's a very beautiful stanza, and I'll end with this. It tells you, in every house, the mama will always guide the children on how to behave, which is lost now, and we're trying to revive it. All you children, nieces and nephews, learn good behavior the best possible. Your good reputation will always remain. From season to season, you will grow, you will gain. In the house you are born, these are very important. Maybe you feel why, but because if you respect God's creation, you are respecting God. All his creations, animate and inanimate. In the house you are born, these you must learn: how to sit and how to stand, how to walk and cross your feet, how to drink and how to eat, how to talk and how to glance, how to move, how to advance, how to work, how to labor, how to cope with the work you shoulder, meaning everything should be based on truth. How to dress, how to attire, how to be modest, how to cover, how your turban you will wear, how to comb and make your hair. Because if you talk properly, you dress properly, you greet properly, I mean, actually you're respecting the God within that person. Like namaste is namastute. It's the same thing. Why do we respect the tree? It's not that we worship the tree or we worship the river. It's because both are God's creations. Like we have sacred groves which are for thousands of years in Meghalaya. Why do we give so much respect and importance to them? Actually, we knew about conservation. We knew that if we preserve God's greatest gift to us, which is nature, that means we are preserving the environment. And these sacred groves, no one can touch a leaf, you can't even remove a blade of grass. Because that's why you are, because of that, you preserve your drinking water and you attract rain. So our philosophy of life is, our way of life is to respect God, the human being, and nature. Kublai.
Thank you, Ms. Bijoya. She's a Khasi author. She talked about formless God. She talked about values. The whole world is a temple, and we thank her for her paper, for her insight. Any query? We can take one query. If there is no query,
Yes. I can't hear you actually.
The speaker now, Madam has said, they believe, Khasis believe in only one God. What is that one God? And once again she said they used to respect nature. Nature gives a lot of things, river, mountain, everything. What is that God?
Well, God to us is a super consciousness that pervades the entire universe. And in that one God, the great divinity, which is imageless and formless, everything belongs to that great divinity. So that was what we mean. Everything, each one of us is part of the great divinity, Ublay.
thank you. What I think we can do is let the scholars present the papers. At the end, we will take questions. At the end, we take questions. Let the scholars present the paper. I request Mr. Sohatun to present his paper. Mr. Sohatun.
Good afternoon, everybody.
it's a privilege for me to be here today amidst with all the respected dignitaries and my brothers and sisters from all over. In fact, my paper was in line with Mrs. Bijoya Sawian. In fact, we were on a very same and a very similar line. So, first of all, I would like to tell you, I'm an activist, in fact, not a scholar or anything. I've been working very hard because in our place in Meghalaya, we have an organization called Senkhasi. So this is an organization where it protects, promote, and promulgate the values of the Khasis. So almost every week, maybe once a month, we used to have a gathering where all these values are imparted to all the followers of the indigenous faith. First of all, I would like to, as per my paper, I tried very hard to put it in words. Since I've told you I'm not a scholar, so I'll be talking about the genesis of the mankind. I mean, the origin of the mankind as per the perspective and the belief of the Khasi. The Khasi believes, there are 16 families that live in the heavenly abode. Different races, different religion has got their own views and own thoughts on their own concept of mankind. But we Khasi also, we are not lacking behind. We have this concept of the origin of a mankind. We believe there are 16 families that live in the heavenly abode where they used to come down to this earth to plow, to do farming, and after all the day's work is done, they go back to their heavenly abode through a golden bridge or a golden ladder, which we call it Kajinking Ksiar. This happened in one of the hilltop in our place, and this hilltop is known as the Lom Sopet Neng, literally means navel, the heavenly navel's hill. So after coming down time and again for years and years, 7 of the family decided to stay back and not go back to their heavenly abode. So we stayed back and the 9 went back to the heavenly abode. In fact, this is the concept of the Khasi religion, of the origin of mankind. I would like to elaborate a bit on this. The Khasi concept of creation or the origin of mankind is based on the oral and narrative or the parable of Lom Sopet Neng. Literally means, Sopet means navel or heaven. In this parable of a story, it tells us about the dawn of time, that after God has created the universe, there are 16 families or 16 huts that lives in heavenly abode. They used to climb down or descend to this earth through a tree which serves as a ladder or a bridge, which is known to a Khasi, the golden bridge or the golden ladder. These 16 families or the 16 huts, as we know, we call them Ki Khandriu Trap, Ki Khandriu Skums, mean the 16 huts and the 16 families. It would come down to the earth for farming. Then one fine day, the 7 families or the 7 huts drift apart and decided to stay back in this earth. Sopet Neng Peak is in Ribhoi district. It's one of our districts in Meghalaya, has assumed a very significant position among the cultural landscape of the Khasi Jaintia Hills, owing to the symbolic process engaging with the Khasi community. The scenes of the place is their memories and legend accounted through the myth of creation. The landscape where the peak stand is installed with a strong cultural and human meaning, which over time was attached with the layers of sediment. In fact, I want to tell you, an in-depth research has also been done on this peak by the well-known anthropologists, and carbon dating, the material that has been discovered from this peak has also been done, and it assumed that the material that has been found in this peak are way back around 4,200 years. A book has been also published on this by Macrometry. So the folk narrative, which stands above others in memory,
to be tied up in a sack and to be thrown in the water. The last person and the most clear about witches was Dalton. He operated after the Indian Mutiny of 1857. And as soon as the British had won, slowly people came from the villages to Chaibasa and told, my brother is killed, my father was killed as a witch. And out of the cases he handled, which were quite a few, there's a clear pattern. Witches were male, not female as we hear now. The witch killings were always covered by the whole village, but the killings themselves were not done by consent of the village. Just a group of people would get together, drink a lot, and kill the suspected witch. And in all the cases Dalton got, there was one case which really baffled him, because that was the case of Pusa Cole, a Ho from the south of the Kolhan, and he was killed because he transformed himself into a tiger. But he was killed by his relatives. He was killed by his brother, among others. So Dalton could not follow that. So he asked the main suspect, so why did you kill him? And he said, well, I saw him becoming a tiger. And he killed my wife, and my wife was pregnant also. He killed my wife in the woods. And after I saw him killing, I followed him, and the tiger went to Pusa's hut. Then we went into Pusa's hut, and we saw that he was busy transforming himself back to a human being. So when we finally got him, he had only the tiger's tail left. And we took him outside, and with a group of family members and friends, we just beated him to death. And he said, I was the one who killed him, and I gave him 10 slaps with a stick, and then he died. 10 blows on the head. And Dalton was very surprised, because a tiger doesn't talk, yes? How do you know? Yes, I hear that. So his brother said, well, actually, Pusa was talking very much about being a tiger. He would go around in the village and say, do you see that goat? I will eat it tonight. And lo and behold, next morning, the goat would have been eaten by a tiger. In the second round of interrogations, it was found that Pusa did not have his tail when he was caught, and he was killed in a real outrage. I mean, he was beaten to pulp. That's why he died, and not 10 blows on the head. So why was that? And that escaped Dalton. The thing is, the people were very much afraid of tigers. Tigers were an unspeakable horror. But when a tiger killed somebody, the ghost of the one who was killed would sit on the back of the tiger and direct him to his next victim. Now, who was the ghost sitting on this tiger's back? That was the wife who was killed. But women who are killed, especially when they are pregnant or when they die in childbirth, were very malignant spirits. So the people were just very afraid. Now we have a tiger in the village, and he is guided by the most revengeful type of ghost you can imagine. So we must act immediately. And we must make sure that the tiger does not come back to life. So they just beat it, Pusa to pulp. This Tickle could have known that, but Tickle was not there anymore. Dalton did not know. This case shows that that the host lived in a very vivid, spirited world in which boundaries between man and beast and between man and ghost could be crossed, even though it was seen as an immediate danger. And Dalton condemned the killer to banishment overseas. That means he went to the Andamans. But still, he said, I was very sad because he really believed it. I cannot explain it, but the host really believed that a person could become a tiger. So, what we get out of the sources is that the British didn't understand very much, even though they might have liked the host and so forth. And this is one of the reasons why this conference is so very useful, because now we can get to understand the beliefs in spirits and witches and in religious matters of the tribals better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stramer. Bongaism is indeed a practice here in Central India. There are many dimensions to it. You threw light on some of it. We thank you very much. We'll take questions on that later. I now invite Mr. Atama Katama. Mr. Atama Katama, is he here? He is not here, so we go to the next. Dr. Mihir Kumar Jaina. Dr. Mihir Kumar Jaina will present his paper. He will be getting 8 minutes, 10 minutes in all.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Esteemed chairs. Well, the title of my paper is Kandha Idea of Environment, the dimensions of categorization, denomination, and utilization. Well, basically I'm an ethnobiologist. However, this paper is based on the cosmogonical and cosmological myth of the Kandh community in Odisha. Kandha is a numerically larger tribal community in Odisha, and there are 2 subsections identified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups, the Dangriya Kandh and the Kutia Kandh. Both the communities are not very much apart geographically, yet they have a lot of differences in their, if you analyze their oral lores, particularly the origin myth or the cosmogonical myth, a lot of differences are there. So from those oral lores, I tried to trace the concept of the notion of environment. How do the Kandha build a notion around it? And interestingly, this very concept of environment that emerges from their understanding of the environs. And environ as the smallest unit of the larger universe or environment, you say, how environs are seen in the context of different beings, human beings, animals, plants, and the supernatural beings. So that is, well, taking that as the basis of the understanding, the next level of understanding goes how do these Gond communities classify nature in their context. So fundamentally there are two aspects. How and in what ways human societies use nature, and the other is how and in what ways human societies view nature. So the paper dwells on the second aspect, the cognitive aspect of the Gond understanding of their universe. And incidentally, you find they have a good knowledge of the folk taxonomy. Everything, every animate and inanimate object in their universe, it is classified. It is classified in terms of utilitarianism, which is quite tangible and one can easily understand. However, the cognitive aspect is very relative, very abstract, and has to be constructed in their context. So, a tree is not understood as, not akin to human beings, but sometimes is also understood akin to human beings. Like you define human being with a morphological feature, so can define a tree with certain morphological feature, but there are also congruences which they build in their notion. Tree marriage. Kutiakons have notions of tree marriage. In the beginning, when they came out of the earth, their supreme God thought the world would look beautiful if there are more and more trees. And how the trees would come. Initially, there were 2 trees that came along with the community when they came out from the earth. So a tree marriage happened, and consequently, over the years, a huge diversity that is there in place today. So it's also about animals. And again, how do these communities attribute spaces in relation to different animals, the kind of interactions, and this is very well pronounced in their classification of forests. Forests again as a living space, the forests as a space where different kinds of interactions happen, different kinds of ecological functions happen. So on the basis of that very high forest, primary forest and a secondary forest, in what aspects they are differentiated and how do they relate to their theological and eschatological beliefs. What type of forest or which part of forest is related to which kind of god or goddess, and in what way these gods and goddesses determine the well-being, the notion of good life of these communities. These are all the different attributes that emerge out of this, out of their concept of space. And gradually, as we move, the different kinds of habitats in terms of interactions, they have been clearly codified and classified, within which the classification of soil is quite interesting. Soil, again, is with several denominations. Why I gave importance to understand the denomination? Because their cultural core is understood through specific names ascribed to specific characters or interactions. So until and unless we understand these specific names which underlie a huge principle within that, we really cannot peep into their cognitive understanding of their space. So that is all about the paper. And from my side, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, it was a good presentation. You brought out the Kondo tribe's relationship with the nature, with the soil, with the trees, how they think that trees came with them. Thank you so much. Now the time is 2:10. So shall we keep 20 minutes for interaction? I think we'll keep 20 minutes and then 2:30 we break So the floor is open for the audience now. Please give a mic. Please be brief. Ask specific pointed question. And whichever participant you are asking, please you can say the name also.
Thank you very much for those very rich presentations. Quick questions for our colleagues presenting on the Khasis, because they are also one of the few tribes in India which are matrilineal, and we haven't really touched upon those aspects of matrilineal. But I was wondering what religious practices and beliefs have sustained matrilineal over the years, if there's any connection that you can make. Thank you.
Who is the, whom do you want to answer the question? Anyone? Yeah. Anybody from the Northeast? Kindly.
I'm so happy that you said matrilineal and not matriarchal. In our society, the lineage is taken from the mother, but the head of the family is always the mama, especially the eldest mama. Now, all the decisions in our lives, like, for example, regarding property, marriage, and other important decisions are made by the men, and especially the mama of the house. And that has remained to this day. Unfortunately, yes, there's a bit of, with the modern times, certain changes are there, but I don't think that's your question. Your question is, are there any rituals? Yes, the priests are all men. Either we have a special priestly class of the Lingdors, and there are also priests who are very conversant with the prayers, the different ceremonies like naming, marriage, and the last rites. And otherwise, if there's no priest, then the mama takes over. So that's the importance of the matrilineal system. We take the lineage from the mother, but the head of the family is the kini, the mama, a much honored and revered person. The Khasi man is doubly honored. In his wife's home, he's the Ukpa Ubala Ubayai. He's the progenitor of the clan. He's highly respected. In his sister's home, he's the head of the family, and he makes all the decisions. Is that all right?
My question is addressed to all the dignitaries at the podium. Now, there was this, insight into tribal philosophy from Khasi perspective of Khasi tribe, and then Professor Paul spoke from the perspective of Munda tribe. Now, I am confused, really. Should we, given the, perspective which you have come up with, should we say that tribal philosophy is anthropocentric, like Paul Stinner was talking about, the practice of Bongoism, and where you talk about the supernatural power which probably some humans had, and you and Professor Vijaya and somebody else was talking about Khasi tribe. So you were talking about a very theocentricism, you were talking from the theocentric perspective. Now, when we look at the customary, I belong to Orao tribe from Jharkhand, and if we look at the customary, practices, there's this, always this thing that there's no hierarchy in tribals. In fact, even after death, there's a ritual where we, bring in the souls. So there's this no afterlife concept. So it's all about staying in harmony, maintaining that interpersonal relationship. Because, I've always believed that one thing which has been very unique to tribals is that, they have been away from that hierarchy, the logocentric attitude, which has been one of the, pivotal, feature of almost all of philosophy, be it Western philosophy, be it Indian philosophy. By the way, I'm from philosophy department. So yeah, I can at least say that almost most of the, Indian Indian philosophical schools or Western philosophical schools have been logocentric. But I thought the tribal philosophy was never logocentric. But with these views coming up, it appears that it's logocentric, either anthropocentric
we
or
got your question.
theocentric.
We got your question.
Yeah.
We got your question. Somebody wanting to answer the question? Would you like to? The question was whether tribal philosophy is only anthropomorphic and nature-centric, or does it go beyond, goes to the... Okay, geocentric, ecocentric, theocentric.
What I was telling was, of course, a court case in which people were talking about the wrong that happened to them or to their father or brother. And that, of course, that puts the person in the center. Now, about the religion of the house, people were the outsiders, all outsiders, not only the Britishers, but also, let's call it for simplicity's sake, to call the Hindus. They were always very baffled because the house were only worshipping in little pieces of wood, woods, in small bushes of trees, and they had no temples. It is they had a main god, and they still have, Singbonga, but he does not seem to be terribly important in day-to-day life. He is just kept for the extreme cases, I have the impression. So, but I'm quite sure that there will be some Ho and Mundas and other tribals who could explain much more about it. But this is what I got from the sources.
I think Meghnadji has some good answer to this. Would you like to say? Because you have analyzed how Dr. Ramdayal Munda looks at this, how things are mind-centric rather than theocentric in tribal philosophy. Would you like to answer? Okay. So, what I would like to say is tribal philosophy is not just theocentric, this will be one part of it. It dwells on humanism as well. It dwells on soul as well. It goes beyond this world and talks about the next world, which we will see in the coming days. This is the first session, please wait. Till at the end of the 3 days session, we will try to answer this question, whether this tribal philosophy, what is the nature of tribal philosophy? Whether this is only limited to nature, whether this is only limited to God, or it goes to humanism as well, things like that. So, not one man will answer, let us collectively answer that. Anybody else, please? Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. So my question is, basically I was under the impression that most of the tribal values are very community-centric. It's like placing the greater good above individual needs. But like after listening to today's discussion on Khasi philosophy, where there was a big emphasis on, say, self-esteem and, respectability, I was just wondering, does individuality also kind of feature high in Khasi philosophy?
I think the entire society is very important. Each one of us is an integral part of that society. That's why I mentioned, and I sort of, read from the teachings of elders, which was handed down from generations to generations, finally published in 1901, that unless you can live in harmony with nature and with your society, with deep respect for both, your life is of no value. You are just a drop in the ocean unless you live in harmony with nature, with your clan, with your kur, with your ka, tip kur, tip ka. Then your life is really of no value. So society is very important, and when I say society, I mean the natural surroundings around us. That's very important, Khasi society.
We can take 2 more questions, but be specific.
Johar, I am from Ho tribe, and my question is from Mr. Paul Strumer. Sir, as you have said that the witchcraft is basically, the witch is basically a man, not a woman, then why this word witch is used, which is a women word, and again, why women are being killed in the name of witchcraft?
Well, I can answer you very simply. I went by the 19th century sources, and there was a spate of witch killings during the mutiny among the Hos. And these witches were men. They were denounced by, the cases were brought up by the females in the family, but especially those females who did not live inside that village of the witch. But at that time, we see hardly any killings of witches who are female.
I will take 1 more question, but before that, there is something to be announced, and I invite the announcer. She will announce an important thing on behalf of TRI, Tribal Research Institute.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request all the dignitaries, delegates, जब आप अपने आर्टिकल सबमिशन करेंगे तो आर्टिकल सबमिशन के साथ डिक्लेरेशन सबमिट करेंगे सॉफ्ट कॉपी के साथ में। पब्लिशिंग के लिए अपने आर्टिकल सबमिशन के साथ डिक्लेरेंस सबमिट करेंगे। थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू। Yeah, we are doing that. In fact, we are doing that. Yes, we are doing that. Yeah. अच्छा, तो हिंदी में भी बात करनी है और इंग्लिश में भी बात करनी है।
Hello everyone. There will be a declaration form attached, and kindly all the participants who are presenting their paper, they are requested to submit their declaration along with the article. Thank you. आपने जितने भी participant paper present करेंगे, अपने साथ में एक declaration form है, उसे भी article के साथ में attach करेंगे sign करके। धन्यवाद।
Form available है? हाँ, form।
हम लोग last question।
Form available also? Yes sir.
Forms available है, okay. हम लोग लास्ट क्वेश्चन लेंगे, प्लीज आस्क।
With due apology, I'm staying for second time. So we have heard the speakers from Khasi friends, and this almost tallies with almost my community's perception and philosophy. Like philosophy of Khasi pertains to truthfulness, respect, reputation, and humans, and pray to God. And after Madam Sawain speaking, the rest of the following speakers, I did not hear clarifying Madam had narrated she believes in one God, only one God. We Arunachal people do only follow believers, do believe sun and moon. And besides that, we believe so many gods, rivers, mountains, and whatnot. But I want to know what one single God they used to believe. Khasis, please.
आप आंसर करेंगे?
हमारा भगवान हम लोग मानते कि उबले जो निराकार है और सर्वशक्तिमान है, सब व्यापी है, सब विज्ञान है. तो his name we call him Ublay. लेकिन Ublay is निराकार है, लेकिन different energies are there also. जो female energies भी है, male energies भी है. तो according to our need we invoke those energies. लेकिन हमारा भगवान जो हम मानते हैं इसको बोलो उबले, BLEI, ब्ले, उबले.
मैडम जी, एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछना चाहूंगा. सब भगवान के बारे में बात करते हैं, सही में मुझे बताइए कि भगवान को किसने देखा है प्लीज. मैंने तो नहीं देखा कोई. हमारे फिलॉसफी में भगवान नाम की कोई चीज है ही नहीं.
हम लोग भगवान सबके जहाँ अच्छा है हम लोग वहाँ भगवान को देखते हैं. सुंदर पहाड़ है वहाँ भी देखते, सुंदर नदी वहाँ भी देखते, सुंदर इंसान, अच्छा इंसान, इसको भी हम लोग भगवान देखते. जहाँ अच्छा है, where there is truth is the only reality, where there is truth there is beauty, हमारा भगवान वहाँ है.
जोरदार तालियां हो जाए मैम के इस आंसर के लिए. गिव अ बिग हैंड फॉर दिस मार्वलस आंसर.
तो हम लोग अभी ब्रेक करेंगे लंच के लिए. सबों को धन्यवाद
जी. थैंक यू सर. I would now like to request all the dignitaries, all the delegates, all the person kindly join us for lunch, and after that we will have our next session. So I request to be here after lunch. Thank you. Dhanyavad.